You have to give Jalen Hurts a ton of credit because we talked about all off season. Is this going to be a run first team again? Is it going to be a pass first team? It's a Jalen Hurts first team.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And welcome back to the Lehocky postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli, that's Derek Gunn, and that's Seth Joyner, of course, and the Eagles win today 38-35. And the man who covered the game out there in Detroit at Ford Field, JAKIB Media's own John McMullen joins us. John, are you with us? There he is. John, what just your overall assessment of what you saw live out there today?
You know, typically the Lions haven't been very good the last number of years, and when they were here on Halloween last year, guys, there's like 45,000 people here. It was a dead atmosphere, and all of a sudden they show up for week one, and you couldn't hear yourself think. Anybody who saw me on the pregame show, the halftime show, you could not hear anything in this place. The Eagles struggled with that. You kind of saw it with the couple delay-up games, the 12 men in the huddle. They were late getting plays out of the huddle pretty consistently. But overall, they were just happy to get out of here with a win. It's hard. You saw some crazy things around the NFL today. And this would have been another crazy thing if the Eagles lost this game. They were able to hold on to it, and they were happy to get out of here with the dub, as they say.
Hey John, did offensive players talk about whether Detroit surprised them in a lot of ways with the abundance of blitzes they came at them with, and more importantly, why they had difficulties picking it up?
I don't think it surprised them because they knew coming in from the playoff game in Tampa that people were going to try to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket, probably a little bit blitzing, and they were ineffective. I mean, you have to give Jalen Hurts a ton of credit because we talked about all off season. Is this going to be a run first team again? Is it going to be a pass first team? It's a Jalen Hurts first team. And, you know, he does some amazing things off schedule, and you can't take it away from him. If you try to limit that, you're limiting your offense. And I know it's difficult. I know it's frustrating at times because there's times he probably should pull the trigger a little bit quicker. But the Lions just couldn't do anything with him. He pulled the football down, run the football, and that kind of set the tone and got him back in the game after that disastrous first drive defensively. And then, you know, he gets the ball back with 3:52, right? That's what you practice. Seth knows this. 4-minute offense, 4-minute offense, 4-minute offense. They're able to siphon the whole clock. That's what you want to do. I know people aren't going to be happy with Jonathan Gannon. I know that's going to be a talking point. They were terrible against the run. They gave up too many third downs. Hopefully better. Derek, you mentioned Minnesota's a very talented offensive team. They better tighten things up pretty quickly. But they got out of here with the win, and that was the goal.
Yep. John, you know, when you're there and you get a chance to see the players come on and off the field, and after the game, you know, they're headed to the to the bus to get back to the airport. What's the mood like, you know, when you stop and think about, you know, on the offensive side, those guys got to be pretty happy about the output that they had, 38 points today, even though 7 of those you can attribute to a defensive turnover. On the defensive side, I'm hard-pressed to believe that, you know, the defense today left that locker room feeling pretty good about themselves. You can feel good about the W, but you can't feel good about 400. What did they had? 386 yards of total offense against you and 35 points.
No, I don't think they were happy, but I will say our old friend Jim Schwartz used to say games have personalities, and sometimes they take on a personality. This took on a personality of a shootout. You know, one of the things about the Eagles defense, there are certain guys, Brandon Graham, most notably Darius Slay. He'll kill me if he hears me call him Darius, but and then now you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's that same kind of energy type of guy. He showed up 10 days ago. He played every single snap in this game. Those guys are just eternally optimistic. I mean, they're never going to seem down. They've never been down a day in their life. Same thing with Jonathan Gannon. You're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. Are they happy with their performance? No, they're not happy with their performance. The Lions came into this game. Look, they have some good players. This is the NFL. This is not Alabama against Louisiana Monroe. This is the NFL. And if you don't show up on a given day, somebody could beat you. But you look at DeAndre Swift, you look at TJ Hawkinson, you look at Amon St. Brown and say, all right, these guys are good players, but they're not explosive players. You should be able to limit them offensively. The Eagles gave up too many big plays, way too much rushing yardage. They did a really, really bad job when they used 40 fronts trying to stop the run. Fletcher did not play well against the run. Javon Hargrave did not play well against the run. For whatever reason, they didn't put Jordan Davis in there early. It cleaned up a little bit when he was out there with Marlon Tuipulotu, which was a bit of a surprise. But overall, you shouldn't give up that much rushing yardage to the Detroit Lions. I think we could all agree on that.
John, you are absolutely right about the way Jalen burned that blitz, and I was kind of shocked that they didn't anticipate what happens if he does do that. But we're also now looking at the number of carries he had in this game. 17 carries. Now, I know a lot of them was him scrambling out of the pocket. 17 carries. Probably if you're looking at last year, you would say that's too many carries for the quarterback, and we've been batting it back and forth today on this show. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, on paper, it looks like too many, to be honest. And it doesn't look tenable over a 17-game schedule. But I go back to Jalen last year, and, when he did get hurt, he got hurt in the pocket. I think people forget that. You can't legislate injuries, and that's how he plays. So I don't want to limit how Jalen Hurts plays. I think if you limit that, look, as spectacular as he was with the off-schedule stuff, with the zone read stuff, with read option stuff, there were times in the passing game he missed Kenny Gainwell, what should have been an easy touchdown. He leaves some stuff on the field as a passer. I don't want to try to turn him into Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. I need that yardage from Jalen Hurts in the running game. I need that off-schedule stuff. It makes Jalen Hurts. And if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. I can't control that. And Seth, how many coaches you've been around? Every single one of them, I bet, told you control what you can control. You can't control injuries, so I want the guy to play to his maximum ability, and that's part of it is the off-schedule stuff.
There you go, John. I mean, because that's my perspective. It's like I'll even take it back to the preseason. They don't want to play guys in the preseason. They want to try to get to the regular season and keep guys healthy. But tell me, what's the difference between a guy being hurt in the preseason and a guy going out in the first 5 minutes of the first regular season game and being hurt? It's an occupational hazard. Guys are going to get hurt. That's why you have backups. That's why you do all of these things. And you can't get in Jalen Hurts' ear and say, hey, man, listen, I want you to stop running so much and stay in the pocket, and try to operate from the pocket. That's just not in his DNA. That's how he's wired. Now, you want him to play that way, but that's just not the way he plays. And to your point, those hidden yards that he creates, those first downs that he gets you to keep drives alive, they're important to your ability to win football games.
And he's so important to the rushing game as a whole. I think people say, well, the Eagles can still run the ball. One of the big reasons they can run the ball, the offensive line is tremendous. We all know that. But Jalen Hurts is that sort of plus one in the running game. You see defenses, their heads on a swivel. They don't know what to do. when he's doing those mesh point handoffs in the read option. Sometimes they bite, he goes outside. Sometimes he hands it off. But Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell are not as effective running the football if Jalen Hurts isn't part of this offense. They're just not. They're not dominant running backs. They're not Derrick Henry. They are not the Dalvin Cooks of the world, the Nick Chubbs of the world. So if you don't have Jalen Hurts, it impacts the rest of your running game as well. And I think that's sort of underreported part of this team's offense, in addition to Jalen's obvious success running football.
Hey, John, let me ask you this real quick. After Detroit goes down the field and strikes first, Jonathan Gannon decides to dial up the pressure a little bit more. The next 3 series in Detroit, go nowhere for the next three series. And obviously, one in particular led to that interception where Bradbury scores to change the momentum of the game. But then all of a sudden in the second half, they stopped blitzing. I know he wants to get his, like a number of teams in the league, they want their 4-man rush to get home. Were you surprised, especially when the momentum started shifting, that Gannon didn't dial up a little bit more pressure to try to take the ball out of Goff's hands?
A little bit, but with JG, it's always about, okay, tell me what third down is. Is it 3rd and 2 or is it 3rd and 7? If it's 3rd and 2, he's not blitzing. If it's 3rd and 7, he might blitz. So if they're not having effectiveness of stopping the run, that's going to limit his ability to blitz. His whole goal is to get the 3rd down, 3rd and 7 plus. And if it's 3rd and 7 plus, you're going to see more blitzes. If it's under that, he's going to try to play, honest defense, whatever you want to call it. And look, I know it's not what Philadelphia likes. I talk about it all the time. They want to blitz. Part of the success in those 3 and outs, Derek, was the coverage, which I don't know if you can see as well on television. Those Detroit receivers weren't getting any separation. So I think he felt a little bit more comfortable. And then all of a sudden, I don't think the secondary played as well in the second half as well. And I think that played into his mindset, in addition to Detroit's running game.
Yep, but John, the reason, and to play to your point, the reason I asked you the question was this. In the second half in particular, when it was 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 9s, he still went his 4-man front, and he had 7 men back, and Detroit was picking up the 3rd and 7s and the 3rd and 9s. So I'm thinking the best way to negate that or diffuse it is to put more pressure on a quarterback who's well known for buckling under pressure more times than not.
Yeah, and he did it a couple times. The Eagles could have had a couple more turnovers in the first half because Derek Goff at one point, I think he was 3 for 10 at one point for 6 yards, and he had 1 completion for positive yardage. The other 2 were for negative yardage. So he was trying to force the football into some really tight windows, and the Eagles had a chance to turn it over a couple more times than what they did. He played better. He played better in the second half. I do think a lot of times we get hyper-focused on the Eagles, obviously, for obvious reason. But the other teams out there playing as well.
Yep.
I think he played he played a lot better in the second half as well than the first half.
John, great stuff. We really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging with us out there, and have a safe trip home.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Travel,
John
man.
McMullen covering the Eagles for JAKIB Sports Media. And we got game balls here. We're going to give out game, but do we have a lot of game balls or just one?
I have no idea. I know
game balls.
I know
Devin's gone in the audience. We've got Dr. Bruce.
Hey, I know the CEO of the company told me he have like 50 game balls for the season. But when I look at where he's stashing them, if a couple disappear, I'm just telling you right now, I had nothing to do with this.
All right, I see 3 over there. So I think each of us are going to give out a game ball. Suppose we give it to the same person.
Oh, good point. Then I guess he gets 3.
Then you got more left over for next week.
All right, it's the Eagles postgame show sponsored by Lehocky, JAKIB Sports Media on 6abc.com, on JAKIB Media YouTube Sports channel. We're having a lot of fun, and the show's not over. We're back with the Eagles postgame show after this.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.